Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of our Instagram live session. My name, like I always say, has not changed. My name remains Azuh Arinze. My guest tonight is Bishop Isaac Idahosa. Bishop Idahosa is the founder and senior pastor of Illumination Assembly, aka God First Ministries, with headquarters in Aduh, Langbasa, Lagos. Born on February 8, 1965 in Minna, Niger State, he is, however, from Edo State. Married to Pastor Christy and blessed with two children, Christabel and Osagie. The preacher, singer, and author who got born again in 1979 will be sharing with us the story of how the ministry started 32 years ago with only 50 naira, and also how he has been able to sustain it thus far. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is the Yes NG TV. THEYESNGTV. All right. Now, I need you to take us through how this whole thing started. How did all this start and begin?
Well, it's a long journey, 32 years.
And let's summarize it.
Behind, well, it's to receive a mandate, a call. Starting with, I started very early in life. I enjoyed early satisfaction. Born into the family of 6, the Odiris, which of course eventually Isaac. I loved God. I loved the Lord. Zeal was there to serve God, even without knowledge. Zeal without knowledge. So I just chose I was going to go to Bible school. Happened to be in the north. We were all born and bred up in the north. And Jesus took over my life in 1979. And I then eventually, by the name of, we came from America to be with Bishop Solomon Abine. And that way, the Bible school was founded in the northern part of Nigeria called Kochongora, to be precise. Just from well, it's better. Let me go have some knowledge of God. Hence, I've got so much zeal. So let me now equip myself with the knowledge of God. Not knowing that after the Bible school was going to culminate into a divine call. Then
kept on saying, you have a call, you have a call. It's like
use you. And I said, if God wants to use me, I should know it first. Especially they use this spiritual phrase that the hand of God is upon you. I said, if somebody says hand is upon me, I should feel it first before you, an outsider, feel it. Long story short, like you did say, I attended to that call after my education as an engineer, mechanical engineer in Kaduna Polytechnic. And I was in between where I was going to go because we gained the favor of the North. My family were privileged to have been sponsored. We had sponsorship all through our tertiary education in the northern part of Nigeria. So it was like I wanted to go to Jos when that divine mandate, that divine calling, that unstoppable persuasion was there that God wanted to use me. And I knew it because I was already doing that everywhere. So it was done on me. But how to start was what I didn't know. But then if I had a choice, I was going to go to Jos because I thought I had a few friends there, and because of lesser religious behavior, they got a lot of peace in Jos then. And I wanted to go to Jos to start that ministry. I wanted to keep going because I had worked for 6 years with Bishop Solomon Agbain in Kotungura then. Now, here was I when the Lord was saying he wanted to start a ministry, and he had given the name God First Ministries. I was going to go to Jos to start for obvious two reasons. Religious behavior was less. I was going to have a few people that will help me begin. But then God said, my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. I would want you to go back to Mina, where you were brought up, and where you enjoyed scholarship, enjoyed all manner of governmental support in your family. So return back there and then contribute your quota spiritually. Well, I did not disobey. Remember, my name Idahosa means hearing from God. Hearing from God. That's the meaning of Idahosa. I returned back to Mina. When I landed in Mina, between me and you, I had 50 kobo on me. No bank accounts anywhere, 50 kobo. So I went and I shared this vision with the Maya. Maya, that's the man of blessed memory. And I said, this is what the Lord is saying, that he would want to commence a ministry through me called the God First Ministry. They said, well, if that is it, anyways, we were family friends, so I was offered their boys' quarters. I had my boss guitar and I would play it and sing. All I would attract were students then. So I was going from campus to campus. From campus, that was in 88. I was going from campus to campus for barely 6 months to 7 months. All of a sudden, the place could not contain, and it was becoming like a nuisance when students would come to boys' quarters and invade their living room, just singing and praising the Lord, and just that. Until the Lord now said, now, you've done this for a while, I want to start real ministry with you. But then remember, I had 50 kobo. And I told the Lord, I have 50 kobo. How will you start with a man with 50 kobo? He said, that's the way I operate. I take people from who are a nobody and make them a somebody if you will be pliable. He said, all right, so what do we do? He said, go and look for an accommodation to begin ministry. So I told the Mayas that I would want to start the ministry by God's persuasion. So I was going to look for a 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms flat, which we now found one eventually for 6,000 naira. Remember, I had 50 kobo. So the Mayas never thought, they thought if I was going to look for an accommodation then, it would mean that I have some money. I never told them I didn't have money. I just said, I just followed God step after step, step by step. We now got the accommodation, 4 bedrooms flat for 6,000 naira. And then they said we should go and get the money for payment. On our ways back home, with that thought on my mind, how I was going to raise 6,000 naira, I saw, and it was a rainy season time, August 89, I saw an abandoned property. Nobody lived in there for quite some time. A reason behind, after which I discovered that a lawyer by the name Sadari owned that property, who eventually ran mad because of one of the briefs he held. And afterwards, the other person that lived in there after him ran mad. So that now made people to abandon the property. And on it was an inscription, God's own house. God's own house. And it caught my fancy, like it caught the fancy of Moses when he saw the grass burning, but it wasn't burned in the bush. And the Lord caught my attention there and said, son, this is where I want the ministry to begin from. grew rice and maize because it was a swampy place, abandoned, dilapidated. Then I told the Mayas, the Lord asked us to start the ministry here. That's what the Lord is telling me. They said, no, something must be wrong. You are not serious. Seriously? I said, yeah. They said, it's an abandoned place. Look at it. You find the lizard, reptiles, snakes, frogs, everything there. I said, that's what the Lord said. No louvers everywhere. Dilapidated. So I insisted because of the strong persuasion I have received. We didn't go home. So they said, if that's what you said, let's now look out for the owner of the property. Now we now got to discover it was a lawyer who ran mad, and the other person that lived in there ran mad too. So whoever they find closer there is like you want to run mad. So they say it was Saturday, but now the custodian of that property is called Justice Awoni, the Chief Judge of Niger State then. So we're going to go see him. Remember, I had 50 kobo. The following day, I dressed up, went straight to the court, met with Justice Chief Judge Awoni. He welcomed me very, very, very warmly and asked why I was there. I told him the Lord asked me to come to Mina to start a ministry called God First Ministry. He said, yeah, how may I help you? I said, well, there's a property we discovered and that you're in custody of. And I mentioned, he laughed. Of all properties. I said, that's what God has asked me to do. So well, if you said God said, don't pay a dime, go take it. If you said God said, but do you know the history of that place? I said, yes, sir. He now explained much more what will have scared me away from thinking otherwise. I said, that was what God said. He said, if you said God said, then who am I? Go and take it over and use for the work of ministry. Then I had about 30 students who were always hanging around me. So when we cleared the bush, and I told everybody I could not do a handbill. Then in those days we do typesetting. We typeset on the typewriter as we go preach. That was the first flyer I ever printed was typesetted, and the subject matter was as ye go. Matthew chapter 10 verse 7. Preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the leper, raise the dead. Freely you receive, freely ye give. Long story short, it was going to run for 3 days. So it began a day such as this, 25th of August 1989, 32 years ago. That was how God First Ministry began. Long story short.
Interesting. So what would you say has kept the ministry going in the last 32 years?
It has been God, purely God. Is by grace. It was founded on grace and then paddled by grace. Now, it's grace and grace alone, not without challenges though. You couldn't have gone 32 years doing anything without having some obstacles, challenges, discouragements, what have you. But you see, conviction is important. When you know clearly, vision is power, clarity too is power. Conviction is important. Once you are convinced about a cause and then you are focused, then the challenges will come and make you better. If you know what you are doing and with whom you are doing it with. God called me, and I would always return back to God too, where there are no clarities, to shed light. I understood my vision clearly. What He's called me to do, He has carved me out to do. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So we have been pulling people to seeking the search of God, to seek after God and His kingdom. So we have been transporting light, the light of God's word, hence transforming lives. What has kept me ongoing? Two things: hearing and doing. Hearing and doing. Hearing the voice of God, receiving instructions from God, per time at whether odd situations or nice situations, and then adhering by complying, doing what he has said. These two things have been the primary factors for where we are today.
Interesting. Interesting. So, what has been the toughest challenge that you have faced in the last 32 years?
Challenge changes. When you are used to a particular thing, and the Lord is saying, as you grow, revelation is progressive. Revelation is progressive. As we grow, changes are inevitable. Some changes could come with pain. Some could come with ease. When those ones that come with pain, how do you handle that? You will have to drop your flesh and kill the flesh. Challenges are like, you know what to do, you don't have the resources to doing them. You know what to do, but how do you communicate that to your generation? Sometimes you are far ahead of some. Sometimes you are even far behind. Catching up, trying to strike a balance. You know where you are going to, but you don't know how to get there. Because you see, it's a faith venture. I've never seen a day as this. So I believe I am one of those who have been employed by his employer. I have never seen my employer, but I believe he has called me and he takes care of my bills. And so the greatest challenge is when you are on a transition into another level in ministry, could cause a whole lot of sometimes pain, sometimes rejection, sometimes it seems like the provision is not there at a point. But you see, from what I have gathered over these years, if it's God's will, then it's his bill. If it's his project, it will attract his budget. And I've learned over time now to rely over experiences have been gathered and gained here and there to know that this God is involved in this, is not involved in this. And no matter how much you know, you are still very small before God. And then the challenges of people trying to misunderstand you when a change is about to occur. If you are not careful, you could be overwhelmed by such challenges in life and would almost want to give up. Sometimes even the people you pastor may misunderstand you. The people you think will stand by you when you are faced with challenges could be those ones that could confound and make it more complex. So that's why you must have to have that conviction that God has called you and God alone.
All right.